For your heart, your mind, and your breath. Welcome to Buddha Story Haven. If your heart feels anxious tonight, if your thoughts are heavy, if your mind won't calm down, you are safe here. Sit with me for a moment. Breathe softly. Loosen your shoulders. Let the world slow down. Here, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be strong. You don't need to figure everything out. You only need to listen and let these gentle Buddhist stories melt your anxiety, soften your worry, and remind you that peace is never far away. Tonight, let the stories hold you. But before we begin, if these stories bring you comfort, please subscribe to Buddha Story Haven and comment where you're listening from. The Well of Worry. In a quiet village, a young woman named Seema felt consumed by anxiety. She feared failure. She feared the future. She feared disappointing others. Her mind raced endlessly. One day, she approached an old monk beside a deep village well. "My worries never stop," she whispered. "They feel bottomless." The monk asked her to drop a small pebble into the well. They listened, and after a long moment, plunk, the monk smiled. "Your worries feel bottomless only because you never give them space to land." He continued, "When you bottle your fears, they become enormous. But when you name them, speak them, and release them, they fall just like the pebble." Seema's eyes softened. She finally allowed herself to exhale. Anxiety grows when we try to silence it. But when you name your worry, when you acknowledge it gently, it loses its grip. Speak it, write it, let it drop like the pebble. Peace begins the moment you stop hiding your fear. The thread of breath. A monk once told his students, "When your mind is tangled in fear and worry, search for the thread that leads you out." The students asked, "What is this thread?" The monk lifted his hand to his chest and breathed deeply. "Your breath is the thread. When the world feels tight, follow the breath. When you spiral, follow the breath. When your thoughts race, follow the breath. The breath is the way back home. You are never truly lost as long as you can return to your breath. Your breath is your anchor, your safe place, your doorway into calm. Whenever your mind spirals, don't chase the thought. Follow the breath. It will always lead you back to yourself." The monk by the river. A monk named Hideo sat beside a flowing river each morning. A villager asked, "What do you see here that keeps you coming back?" The monk replied, "I watch how the river moves. It never holds on to what passes through it. Leaves fall, and the river lets them go. Sticks fall, and the river lets them go. Storms come, and the river carries everything without clinging." He smiled softly. "I am learning to let my thoughts flow the same way. Your mind does not need to hold every thought. Thoughts arise, thoughts pass. Let them drift like leaves on the river. Your mind becomes peaceful when it stops trying to control the flow." The small lantern in a large room. A young monk felt overwhelmed by fear and darkness in his heart. He went to his teacher and said, "The darkness inside me is too big. I feel swallowed by it." The teacher placed a tiny lantern in his hand. "Walk into the dark room," he said. The monk entered the room, and the small lantern filled the entire space with warm, gentle light. The teacher smiled. "Darkness is vast, but it cannot overpower a single point of light. You do not need to eliminate the darkness. You only need to strengthen the light. Your anxiety may feel huge, but your light does not need to be bigger. It just needs to be present. A moment of kindness, a moment of breath, a moment of stillness. One light changes everything." The leaf and the wind. A leaf clung tightly to its tree branch as autumn storms began. The leaf trembled in fear. "I'm afraid to fall," it whispered. One day, a soft wind said, "You are not falling. You are being carried." The leaf released its grip and floated gently to the ground. Its journey was softer than it ever imagined. Letting go does not mean losing control. It means trusting that the next stage will hold you. Surrender is not falling. It is being carried. The temple cat. In a temple courtyard lived a cat who always sat beside the monks during meditation. One day, a visitor asked, Why does the cat sit here so peacefully? Does it understand meditation? The monk replied, No. The cat understands something more important. The cat knows how to be where it is. It doesn't wonder what happened yesterday. It doesn't worry about tomorrow. It simply sits. Anxiety pulls you into yesterday and tomorrow. Return to this moment. The breath, the seat beneath you, the air around you, your body as it is. Peace exists only in the now. Settle your breath, soften your chest, and let the next stories carry you deeper into peace. The bamboo that remained calm. A violent storm once swept through a small forest. Tall, proud trees broke under the force of the wind. Branches snapped, trunks cracked, roots tore from the ground. But the bamboo simply bent. It bent with the wind, flowed with the storm, and when the sky cleared, it stood upright once more, unbroken. A monk watching this whispered, Real strength is not how rigid you are, but how gracefully you bend. Anxiety often says, You must be strong, you must stay firm, you must hold everything together. But true strength is flexibility. Allow yourself to bend, to pause, to rest, to not be okay for a moment. Softness is a form of strength. The empty boat. A monk paddled across a lake at dawn. Fog thickened, hiding everything. Suddenly, bang! Another boat slammed into his. He felt anger surge through him. He shouted, Watch where you're going. As the fog cleared, he saw the boat was empty. No one was inside. It had simply drifted with the wind. The monk laughed softly. All his anger dissolved. If no one is there to offend you, he said, there is no one to be angry with. So much worry comes from taking things personally. This person judged me. This person insulted me. This person ignored me. But often their boat is empty. People are drifting with their own storms, their own history, their own pain. Don't carry what wasn't meant for you. The jar that always leaked. A water carrier in a small village carried 2 buckets every morning. One was perfect. The other leaked. Every day, water dripped from the cracked jar along the path. Ashamed, the cracked jar said, I'm sorry. You should replace me. The water carrier smiled and led the jar down the path. Look, he said. On one side of the path flowers bloomed. Colors vibrant, petals open. These flowers exist because of your crack, because of your leak, because of what you think is wrong with you. Your cracks are not failures. Your softness, your sensitivity, your vulnerability. These are the reasons flowers bloom around you. Your imperfections are the doorway through which your compassion flows. Do not hide them. The cloud that forgot the sky. A young monk named Rian felt overwhelmed by anxiety. My feelings are too big, he told his teacher. My thoughts swallow me. The teacher pointed to the sky. What do you see? Dark clouds, Rian replied. A troubled sky. The teacher shook his head gently. No, the sky is not troubled. Only the clouds are. The sky is always vast, always open, always unchanged. Rian watched the clouds drift. He realized his emotions were clouds. He was the sky. Your anxiety is not you. Your depression is not you. Your overthinking is not you. These are clouds passing weather. You are the open sky beneath them. Let the clouds move. They always do. The cracked heart of the statue. In a quiet temple stood a beautiful Buddha statue with a small crack in its chest. Visitors complained, the statue is damaged. It should be replaced. But one evening, a young monk noticed something. As the sun set, light poured through the crack, creating a radiant beam that filled the temple with gold. He whispered, the light enters here. Your wounds are not the end of you. They are openings. Places where healing, insight, and compassion shine through. Your cracks allow the light in, and they allow your light to shine out. The butterfly and the cocoon. A man once found a butterfly struggling to emerge from its cocoon. Wanting to help, he gently cut open the cocoon. The butterfly crawled out, weak, fragile, unable to fly. The man did not know that the struggle strengthens the butterfly's wings. Without the struggle, it could never soar. Your challenges are not punishments. They are shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you. You are growing wings in the very moments that feel the hardest. Trust the process. Settle your breath. Allow your shoulders to soften. And let these next stories carry your heart even deeper into peace. The cup of salt. A young monk approached his teacher, eyes tired, voice trembling. "Master," he said, "my suffering feels too heavy. Everything overwhelms me. Every emotion floods me. I feel like I'm drowning." The teacher nodded softly and handed him a cup of water. Then he poured a full handful of salt into the cup. "Drink," he instructed. The monk took a sip and immediately spit it out. "It is too salty," he said. The teacher smiled and guided him to a nearby lake. He threw the same handful of salt into the lake. "Now drink." The monk hesitated, then cupped his hands and tasted the water. "It tastes like fresh water," the monk whispered. The teacher said gently, "Your suffering is salt, but your heart can become the lake. When you expand your mind, your suffering becomes smaller inside the space you create. Your anxiety feels unbearable when your world shrinks. When you're stuck in your head, stuck in your room, stuck in fear, stuck in yesterday. Expand your world. Take a walk or breathe slow. Look at the sky. Speak to someone a step outside your thoughts. The salt remains, but the lake grows. This is how suffering softens. Two monks were walking together. One carried a small feather. The other carried a heavy stone. They walked across the same path under the same sun with the same steps. But one monk was light, and the other was exhausted. Finally, the monk with the stone said, "This path is too hard." The other monk showed his feather and replied, "The path is not the problem. It is what you carry. Your anxiety is not always because life is hard. Often it's because you're carrying emotional stones. Perfection, a pressure, past wounds, a guilt, unrealistic expectations, fear of disappointing people. Put down the stone. Walk with the feather. Let life feel lighter." A young woman sought guidance from a monk. "My anxiety flickers constantly," she said. "Some days I feel calm. Other days I shake inside." The monk lit a candle and placed it between them. "Watch," he said. The flame flickered with every small breeze, but it never went out. "No flame burns perfectly still," the monk continued. "Your mind is the same. It may flicker, but the light remains. You do not need to be perfectly calm to be okay. Anxiety may flicker. Your emotions may waver. Your thoughts may shake. But the light in you remains. It never goes out. Not once. Not ever." The rope that looked like a snake. A traveler walked through the forest at dusk when he saw a coiled snake on the path. He froze. His heart raced. His breath stopped. Fear consumed him. Another traveler approached, picked up the snake, and laughed. "It is only a rope." The first traveler stood stunned. His fear had felt so real, so certain, that he could not believe how wrong it was. The second traveler said gently, "Fear often makes monsters from shadows. Your anxiety tells convincing stories. It tells you something bad will happen, you aren't safe, you can't handle it. You're not enough, everyone is judging you, the future is frightening. But often it is only a rope, not a snake. Your mind makes shadows look dangerous. Look again, with breath, with kindness, with clarity. You may find the threat was never real." The old woman and the lamp. An old woman lived alone in a small mountain village. Every night, she lit a single oil lamp and placed it outside her door. A traveler once asked her, "Why do you light the lamp? Are you waiting for someone?" The old woman smiled. "No," she said. "I light the lamp so the lost can see the path." The traveler said, "But you receive nothing in return." The old woman replied, "Oh, but I do. When my heart feels anxious, helping others lights my own path. When anxiety makes the world feel small, helping someone else can widen it. Kind act softens the heart. It expands the mind. It brightens the soul. Sometimes you heal your own worry by easing another's. Light a lamp, even a small one, and your heart will glow too. The rock and the water. 2 monks sat by a stream. One monk said, "My anxiety feels like a rock weighing down my heart." The elder monk picked up a rock and dropped it in the river. "Watch," he said. The water flowed around the rock, smoothly, easily, without resistance. "Be like the water," the elder said. "You cannot always remove the rock, but you can learn to flow around it. You may not always eliminate your anxiety, but you can learn to move with it, to soften around it, to breathe through it, to not let it block the entire river of your life. Flow gently, flow slowly, flow without force. And eventually the rock becomes part of the river, not its obstacle." The teardrop on the lotus leaf. A young monk sat quietly by a pond, feeling overwhelmed by sadness and anxiety. His teacher approached, placed a finger under the monk's chin, and gestured to a lotus leaf floating on the water. A single teardrop fell from the monk's cheek onto the leaf. The teardrop rolled across the surface, and then gently slipped into the pond. The teacher whispered, "Do you see? Even your heaviest emotions cannot stay on the surface forever. They fall, they blend, they become part of something larger. Your pain does not last forever. It moves, it changes, it dissolves. Sadness, fear, anxiety, they all eventually fall off the lotus leaf and into the stillness beneath. Let the tear fall. The pond will hold it." The stone that sank slowly. 2 monks stood at the shore of a quiet lake. One monk picked up a heavy stone and threw it into the water. It sank instantly. The other monk placed a similar stone on the surface of a flat wooden plank and gently pushed it into the lake. This stone drifted outward, floating for a long time. The first monk asked, "How is this possible?" The elder replied, "The stone is the same. The difference is the support beneath it. Your burdens feel heavier when you carry them alone. But when supported by kindness, by friendship, by breath, by rest, by community, your heavy stone can float. Seek support. You don't need to sink alone." The monk who swept worry. A monk was given the job of sweeping the courtyard each morning. Every day, he swept the same dust, the same leaves, the same fallen petals. One day, he grew frustrated. "Why clean what will only become dirty again?" His teacher replied, "Because the purpose of sweeping is not to finish. It is to keep the mind clear." The monk understood. The sweeping was not for the courtyard, but for him. You may wish anxiety would disappear forever, but peace is not a one-time achievement. It is a daily sweeping, breathing, resting, reflecting, letting go. You don't sweep to finish. You sweep to stay clear. The small cup of tea. A traveler arrived at a monastery seeking wisdom. He was anxious, impatient, and overwhelmed by his own mind. The monk poured him tea, slowly, gently, with full attention. The traveler drank. His shoulders softened. "You brew tea beautifully," he said. The monk nodded. When the mind is noisy, do one small thing with full presence. In that moment, anxiety melts like steam. Your mind doesn't need grand solutions. It needs presence. Fold one blanket, wash one cup, light one candle, take one breath. Do one thing slowly. Anxiety melts through stillness. The empty room. A monk entered a meditation hall filled with other monks. They were all sitting, but each sat differently. Some restless, some peaceful, some distracted, some calm. The monk felt anxious comparing himself to others. He whispered to his teacher, "Everyone seems more serene than me." The teacher pointed to an empty corner of the room. "There is a place where no comparison exists. Sit there." The monk sat alone in the quiet corner, and for the first time, his breath slowed. Anxiety grows when you compare yourself to others. Your path is your own. Your pace is your own. Find the empty corner within your mind, within your heart, where only you exist. There, peace returns. The final story. The quiet place within. A young monk struggled with worry for many years. He traveled far, seeking teachers to end his anxiety. One elderly monk simply touched his chest and said, What you seek is already here. You do not need a new life to feel peace. You need to enter the quiet place within the life you have. The young monk closed his eyes, placed his hand on his heart, breathed deeply, and there it was, a calmness he had searched for everywhere, except inside himself. Peace is not far, not hidden, not complicated. It lives inside you, behind the fear, under the noise, within the breath. Enter your quiet place. You can return whenever you need.
Lua crescente final outro. A gently godnik.
Dear soul, thank you for journeying through these stories. May your heart feel lighter. May your mind feel softer. May your breath feel deeper. If these stories helped soothe your anxiety or melt your worries, please subscribe to Buddhist Story Haven and comment where you're listening from. Your presence helps this sanctuary reach others who are hurting quietly. You deserve peace. You deserve rest. You deserve healing. May you be happy. May you be safe. May you sleep deeply tonight. Good night, beautiful soul.